In the age of digital abundance, where virtually every film, song, and television show seems perpetually available at our fingertips, it's easy to forget that vast swathes of our cultural history have simply vanished. Cultural artifacts disappear, sometimes without a trace, leaving behind only fragmented memories and dedicated communities determined to recover what time has erased. Welcome to Vanishing Threads. Today we're exploring the mysterious world of lost media, those films, television shows, video games, and other creative works that have disappeared from public access, becoming modern folklore in the process. Lost media exists in a peculiar state of limbo. We know these works once existed. We can document their creation. We might even find people who experienced them firsthand. But the works themselves remain frustratingly out of reach. In some cases, all we have left are tantalizing descriptions, blurry screenshots, or brief snippets preserved by chance. The quest to recover these missing pieces has created one of the internet's most fascinating detective communities. Consider the case of Clockman, an animated short that haunted the memories of those who glimpsed it on Nickelodeon's Pinwheel program in the early 1980s. For decades, people who remembered this eerie segment, featuring a sinister man made of clock parts, questioned whether it had been a product of childhood imagination rather than something that actually aired on television. Online communities formed around shared memories of the animation, with detailed descriptions that matched across multiple independent accounts, yet no video evidence could be found. For nearly 20 years, Clockman existed only as a collective memory, with skeptics suggesting it was a false memory or conflation of other shows. Then, in 2017, after years of detective work by the lost media community, the mystery was solved when a user identified the animations as Operadive Sally, about Dressy Sally, a 1976 Czech stop-motion short film directed by Dagmar Daubkova. An English dub had been created in 1978 for American television, and it was this version that had aired on Nickelodeon's Pinwheel program. Shortly after the identification, another user located and uploaded the actual footage, confirming what many had insisted all along. Their memories were real. The Clockman saga exemplifies why lost media fascinates us so deeply. It sits at the intersection of collective memory, cultural preservation, and internet-age detective work. What began as fragmented childhood recollections eventually coalesced into a focused search that recovered a piece of history that institutional archives had failed to preserve. Perhaps the most infamous example of temporarily lost media is Nickelodeon's Crybaby Lane, a made-for-TV film that aired only once on Halloween night in 2000 before allegedly being banned by the network for being too disturbing for its intended audience. For years, the film achieved almost mythical status online, with many believing Nickelodeon was actively suppressing its existence. The network even denied having any record of the film when contacted by journalists. The legend grew until 2011, when a Reddit user claimed to have a VHS recording of the original broadcast. After providing screenshots as proof, they uploaded the full movie, instantly transforming Crybaby Lane from legendary lost media to recovered cultural artifact. Nickelodeon subsequently acknowledged the film's existence, attributing its disappearance to poor ratings rather than disturbing content. The network even rebroadcast the film in 2011, effectively ending its status as lost media. What makes the Crybaby Lane story fascinating isn't just its recovery, but how it illustrates the power dynamics of cultural memory. A major corporation effectively erased a piece of media from history, whether intentionally or through neglect, yet the collective memory of viewers ultimately preserved and recovered what institutional forces had discarded. Beyond these high-profile recoveries lies a vast universe of media still missing. The BBC's infamous policy of tape reuse during the 1960s and 70s resulted in the loss of numerous episodes of classic shows, including 97 episodes of Doctor Who. The destruction was systematic. To save money, the BBC routinely recorded over tapes after broadcasts, never anticipating future value in reruns or historical significance. This institutional short-sightedness wasn't unique to the BBC. Early Hollywood similarly destroyed countless silent films, with the Library of Congress estimating that approximately 75% of all American silent films are now permanently lost. Nitrate film stock, highly flammable and expensive to store, was often intentionally destroyed, recycled for its silver content, or simply deteriorated beyond salvation due to improper storage. Even in our digital age, media continues to vanish at an alarming rate. Perhaps the most striking example is the ongoing challenge of video game preservation due to corporate transitions, server migrations, and format obsolescence. When developers sought to create enhanced editions of classic role-playing games like Baldur's Gate and Planescape, Torment, they faced significant technical challenges in working with decades-old code and assets. The enhanced versions required extensive reverse engineering and reconstruction work, a digital archaeology project that highlights the fragility of software preservation even in our supposedly permanent digital age. Video games present unique preservation challenges due to their interactive nature and dependence on specific hardware. Many early online games have been effectively erased from history as servers shut down and authentication mechanisms became defunct. MMORPGs like Star Wars Galaxies now exist only in memory and fragmentary private server reconstructions that can never fully replicate the original experience. Similarly, countless mobile games disappear each year when developers cease support or platform holders implement new technical requirements. Even when physical copies of games survive, they may be effectively lost due to degrading media, digital rights management, or expired online authentication requirements. The original version of Silent Hill, 1999, a landmark horror game, remains unavailable on modern systems, with subsequent re-releases altering crucial atmospheric elements like the fog effects that defined its eerie aesthetic. Meanwhile, PT, playable teaser, Hideo Kojima's demo for the cancelled Silent Hills game, became perhaps the most famous piece of lost gaming media when it was removed from PlayStation's digital store in 2015. Despite being a mere demo, its groundbreaking horror design and subsequent unavailability elevated it to legendary status, playable only on PlayStation 4 consoles that had downloaded it before removal. Musical recordings have their own library of lost treasures. The unreleased acoustic version of Nine Inch Nails' The Fragile album reportedly exists on Trent Reznor's hard drive, but remains unreleased. Even more tantalizing is Prince's Vault at Paisley Park, reportedly containing thousands of unreleased songs, multiple complete albums, and music videos. Following the artist's death, archives have begun the process of cataloging and preserving these recordings, but many remain unheard by the public. In the realm of broadcast media, home recordings have become invaluable artifacts. VHS tapes of 1980s and 90s television, complete with original commercials, station identifications, and bumpers, provide a time capsule that official releases, scrubbed of these elements for legal reasons, cannot replicate. These recordings preserve not just the primary content, but the entire broadcast context that defined the viewing experience of the era. Similarly, recordings of local television productions, children's shows, public access programs, regional news broadcasts often survive only through home recordings, as stations rarely preserved this ephemeral content. Sometimes, lost media takes on an almost mythical quality because the very fact of its existence remains disputed. The infamous Seinfeld episode, The Bet, also known as The Gun, was allegedly written for the show's second season, but never filmed due to its controversial content involving airplane gun possession and Elaine checking if Kennedy had a mistress. While the script apparently existed, no copy has ever surfaced publicly, and its status remains contested among fans and television historians. Similarly, as covered in a previous episode, the alleged Polybius arcade game from 1981, supposedly an experimental government psychology project that caused psychoactive effects in players before mysteriously disappearing, has no verified evidence of existence, yet continues to fascinate as perhaps the ultimate piece of lost media, something that may never have existed at all. Children's television has its own unique category of lost media, much of it remembered through the hazy lens of childhood memory. Pinwheel on Nickelodeon, with its haunting Clockman segment, is just one example. British listeners may recall Candle Cove, a supposed children's show featuring disturbing pirate puppets that allegedly aired in the early 1970s. However, unlike Clockman, Candle Cove was eventually revealed to be a creepypasta fiction, though not before many claimed to remember watching it, demonstrating how the concept of lost media can blur the line between memory, fiction, and reality. The BBC children's programme Mini Pops, however, was very real, a controversial show featuring children aged 8 to 13 performing adult pop songs, often with inappropriate themes. After 6 episodes in 1983, it was cancelled following public outcry about its potentially exploitative nature. The BBC has never repeated or commercially released the series, making it effectively lost media, though fragments occasionally surface online. While the BBC likely still holds master tapes, the series' controversial nature ensures it remains locked in the archives, unlikely to ever receive an official release. What drives people to dedicate countless hours searching for these cultural artifacts? The Lost Media subreddit, with over 200,000 members, exemplifies the community that has formed around this digital archaeological pursuit. Its members meticulously document lost works, coordinate search efforts, and celebrate recoveries. The motivation extends beyond simple nostalgia. It reflects a recognition that our cultural heritage is fragile and that preservation requires active participation rather than institutional autopilot. One of the most remarkable stories in lost media recovery involves the Christine Chubbuck tape, footage of the tragic 1974 on-air incident of a Florida news anchor. For decades, the footage was believed destroyed or locked away permanently, becoming almost mythological in lost media circles. The station owner had given the only known recording to the Chubbuck family, who kept it secure from public view. While the actual footage remains privately held out of respect for the family, confirmation of its continued existence transformed this case from lost to extant but unavailable, an important distinction in lost media classification. Similarly, Jerry Lewis's unreleased 1972 film The Day the Clown Cried, about a clown entertaining children in wartime concentration camps, has achieved legendary status. Lewis, deeply unhappy with the result, prevented its release and kept the only copy. In 2015, the Library of Congress revealed they had received a copy under the condition it not be screened until 2025. What was once considered permanently lost will eventually become available, demonstrating how lost media status can change with time and circumstance. The world of animation is particularly susceptible to loss, despite, or perhaps because of, its labor-intensive creation process. Disney's 1985 Black Cauldron exists today in a form significantly different from its original cut. CEO Jeffrey Katzenberg, unhappy with the darker tone, personally demanded extensive edits, including the removal of several violent sequences. The original, unedited version is believed to still exist in Disney's vaults but remains unreleased. Similarly, Richard Williams's magnum opus The Thief and the Cobbler underwent a tortuous 31-year production, only to be taken from the director's hands before completion. The film was heavily edited and released in bastardized versions, while Williams's original vision became one of animation's most legendary lost works, until fan-led restoration projects like The Recobbled Cut attempted to recreate his intentions using work prints, original animations, and storyboards. Television, with its ephemeral nature and once limited archiving resources, has lost countless broadcasts to history. The BBC's notorious wiping of early Doctor Who episodes is perhaps the best-known example, but American television suffered similar losses. Most of the first decade of The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson was systematically erased by NBC to reuse expensive videotape. The network's short-sighted decision erased thousands of hours of cultural history. Even Super Bowl I from 1967, arguably one of the most significant sporting events in American television history, exists only in partial form, as both CBS and NBC erased their tapes. The NFL has since reconstructed the game using radio broadcasts and film highlights, but the complete television broadcast remains one of sports broadcasting's most significant losses. Another success story is the recovery of London After Midnight, a 1927 silent horror film starring Lon Chaney Sr. that was believed completely lost after the last known copy was destroyed in an MGM vault fire in 1967. In 2002, Turner Classic Movies produced a reconstruction using still photographs and the original script, creating a 45-minute version that approximates the original film. While not a complete recovery, this reconstruction preserves the essence of a work that would otherwise exist only in written descriptions. The digital era has transformed both how media becomes lost and how it gets found. Online distribution initially seemed to promise permanence, once digital, always preserved. Yet the reality has proven more complex. Streaming platforms regularly remove content based on licensing agreements, digital stores shut down, servers go offline, and files become corrupted or incompatible with modern systems. Even YouTube, our era's largest video repository, regularly loses content to copyright claims, channel deletions, and policy changes. Yet the internet has also democratized preservation efforts. Communities of enthusiasts now coordinate global searches, pool resources for purchases of rare items, and share technical expertise to restore damaged media. Online archives like the Internet Archive's Wayback Machine and grassroots preservation projects safeguard digital content that might otherwise disappear. Every day, somewhere in the world, someone uploads a digitized VHS recording of a program once thought lost, or shares a backup of a defunct website, contributing to our collective cultural memory. Perhaps what fascinates us most about lost media is how it confronts us with the impermanence of our cultural artifacts. In an era where we assume everything is being preserved and archived, lost media stands as a reminder of our fragility, that even in our age of digital reproduction, things can still vanish. When we search for lost media, we're not just looking for entertainment, we're attempting to repair the holes in our collective memory, to reassert that what once existed still matters, that it should not be forgotten. The internet itself exists in a contradictory relationship with lost media. It simultaneously serves as both the greatest tool for preservation we've ever created and a uniquely ephemeral medium where content can disappear instantaneously. Websites vanish when domains expire, platforms shut down without warning, and file formats become obsolete. The very digital tools we trust to preserve our cultural artifacts often accelerate their disappearance, a paradox that defines our modern relationship with media preservation. Yet there's something profoundly hopeful about the lost media community. It represents a collective refusal to accept cultural amnesia, a grassroots effort to preserve what corporate entities and institutions have deemed unworthy of conservation. When a long-lost cartoon episode surfaces after decades, or a believed destroyed film print is discovered in someone's attic, we witness not just the recovery of content, but a restoration of continuity, a repair to the fabric of our shared cultural history. In the most successful cases, we transform certain knowledge of existence plus absence into recovery and preservation. And in that transformation lies not just the reclamation of a cultural artifact, but a small victory against the inevitable entropy of time itself. The mystery of lost media will always remain with us, even as some mysteries are solved, because the process of creation and loss is continuous. As you're watching or listening to this video, somewhere, a piece of media is being lost, and somewhere else, a dedicated community is working to ensure something else is found. Tonight, when you close your eyes, consider the countless stories that have already slipped away, the performances that will never be seen again, the music that exists only in memory, the games that live on only in the recollections of those who played them. But also consider the armies of digital archaeologists working to preserve what remains, the communities refusing to let the past simply fade away. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, stay curious, stay safe,